Gemstone Discoveries by gemstones.com. I'm Gemstones, this is .com. We're here every Monday at noon. We're always trying to bring you the gemstones that you guys are wanting to see. It always pops up in the requests. You can do it no matter where you're watching. Most times I've been getting it from the YouTube chat, but I go back through and check all the other ones. Everywhere else that we stream on gemstones.com Facebook, JTV Extra Facebook. There's lots of different places. So whatever you're wanting to see, we will take suggestions and we will plan our show based on that. Except for next week. We've got a pretty good thing coming next week. We're going to do Demantoid Garnet specimens.
Ooh,
so
I'm excited about that.
Really well priced. They're all one only, so what you're going to see on the screen is what you're going to get, and it'll be really exciting. So that will be something to keep an eye out for next week at noon on gemstones.com. And we'll do a little preview. Preston and I have been doing little previews on Friday on TikTok and then also on my Instagram, just trying to show you guys what's going to be coming up on the shows.
A little teaser.
Yep, just a little bit of a teaser, and you know, we'll kind of show everything that's happening. So we're gonna get into this because people wanted to see opal. There was no specificity of what kind of opal, so we're gonna show opals from multiple different sources, because that's the great thing about opal is a lot of times people think Australia. Most times.
That's usually the first location.
The first. It's the most common. But you'll probably even see Shane will kind of cycle through so you can see all of them that we have. And if you're watching on one of the platforms where you see the little pieces down at the bottom, the little boxes, or where it says shop now, you can pull that up and see everything that we have in today's show in case you're in a hurry and you don't want to hear me blabber on and on and on, because it's been known to happen. So this first one that we have is a 1 carat oval Ethiopian opal. Now, Ethiopian opal is so much different from an Australian opal.
Yes.
Because this is not a hydrophane opal. So, or is it a hydrophane? I get that backwards sometimes.
Me too.
It is hydrophane.
Okay.
So, hi, I'm new here. It's my first day.
Stick it to your tongue.
So this one is hydrophane, but it just, the color is so stable with all these because you'll see a lot of crazing that happens in all kinds of opal.
Yeah.
This one kind of locks everything in. Now, you'll even see this one has a little bit of a yellowish color to it, and sometimes it will turn yellow. I talked about this on an earlier show, that the easiest way to fix all that is just get it a little wet and then put it in a plastic bag with a little silica packet that like comes in clothing or shoes, and you should be able to lighten some of that yellow out of it and kind of restore it.
I need to write that down. Where's my notebook?
Like opals require quite a bit of care. You want to keep them somewhat in a humid area.
They have a fairly low stability, so
and
you want to keep it out of the heat.
Yep.
Be kind of careful with it. It has a low hardness too.
Yeah, it does have low hardness. It's soft, and that's the other thing is it doesn't have a crystal structure.
Correct.
So there's no telling how it'll break if it does break. And sometimes you'll see little craze lines go through it, but really nothing wrong with that.
No.
Some of that stuff will fade and go away. But on a stone like this, it's really great because the thing that you really look for with an opal is the colors that you're seeing in the flash pattern.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes you'll see Ethiopian opal look exactly like what you're seeing right now, but that green there, the red, it's almost non-existent in some pieces. But this piece has a fair amount of play of color.
Yeah, and that's really the thing is, it's the same with all opals. The variety doesn't matter so much, but the color that gets returned, that's where the price really comes from. When you see large flashes of red and big patches of red, that's really where a lot of value comes in with any opal, no matter what it is. The good thing about these and Australian opals and even black opals is the body color accentuates that play of color.
Exactly.
A lot of times on fire opals, the fire is because the body color is orange. You will see some play of color, but not so often.
Color is a very in-depth subject in gemology.
It really is.
Every aspect.
And it's very subjective. That's the worst part.
Yes.
But on this one, I think it stands out. I don't think you really have a problem seeing color on these. We've kind of changed our setup, so it might take a little bit to get these shots down, but if I know my man Shane, he's going to get this worked out with no problems.
Let's see. Patricia on YouTube said, red flash is cash.
Yes, that is correct.
We also got a question from Laura. What is hydrophane? I'm not sure if we defined it earlier, but it's pretty much, I think of hydrophane as sponge-like.
Yeah.
It pulls in water. a large percentage of opal is watered. It is formed pretty much by, silica spheres being carried by water and then settling over the length of a good amount of time.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly sure of the science of what makes it a hydrophane. I'm assuming some silica just doesn't deposit and leave some gaps there.
I would say that is probably a really good explanation of it. And I think that one of the things that at least I think of when I think of a hydrophane material is if you go to trade shows, you'll see Ethiopian opal rough stored in water.
Yeah.
And that water, it doesn't add to the weight of the stone. You don't have to let it dry before you cut it. It really highlights the color.
Makes it look really
Yes,
good.
it makes the colors pop out more. Now, with Australian opal varieties, if you were to put that in water, you're not going to see color. The color will almost wash out and fade away, and then you'll have to let it dry back out before that color comes, which you do need to hydrate opal sometimes, but it's quick. You don't want to do it for long. So that really is something just to keep in mind. It's not a problem to get some of these stones wet, but don't,
And of course, keep it, if you ever clean your jewelry, if you're cleaning like an opal ring or an opal pendant, don't use any harsh chemicals because it'll soak up chemical too. It'll get into there.
We've even had the experience, sphalerite. Sphalerite's a really soft stone. It's really brittle. It has perfect cleavage in multiple directions.
Gosh,
so
I think 6.
Yeah, when we brought them in, we bought an entire website. Like the website's still available. You can go to it and see the stuff that we'd sold because they're really world-class pieces. When we brought these in to sort them, we had to wear white gloves because even the oils from your skin will break that stone down. So it's something you really have to think about, that they're pretty. I like touching all my rocks, but you just have to keep that in the back of your mind that some of them don't respond well to it, but that's also because they're extremely rare and you don't see them faceted a lot because you have to be master to be faceted. So we're going to keep going on the opals because, like I said, we got a few. Let's see, we have 1, 2, I would say we have 4 or 5 locales of where the opals come from that are in the show. And we're really excited because we have one that is extremely rare that you don't see often.
Yeah.
There's only 2 places it comes from that even give you quality enough that you can make something out of it. So when we get to that, that'll be really exciting. And the next one that we're going to have, this one's interesting because it's a Honduran black opal. Now this is something, Shane got some great stills of these because it is a smaller piece, and it's something that when you get it out in sunlight, this is one that is going to have like a traditional pinfire flash that goes over it. And this is great like if you're a wire wrapper or just someone who wants to have a display. Like I could see just just getting a simple wire wrap on this, running a cord through it and hanging it on my rearview mirror.
That is gorgeous.
Because it really will just, in the sunlight, these things look so good. I remember we did a streaming show in Tucson with the guy who carved these. Now, there's a really interesting story with all this material. So this guy was driving to Tucson, I think this was 2021.
Okay.
Got in a car accident. Car rolled multiple times. He broke his neck. Honduran opal scattered all across the desert floor.
Oh my gosh.
They went out there, raked the desert floor where the accident happened, got it all back to him. While he was rehabilitating, he was hand polishing these, resorting them. So this really took quite a bit of time to get this done. So these really are great colors. So we did a live stream with him in Tucson, and when we were at the Keno Gym show, standing out there, like the color was just unreal.
It's amazing at that.
Yeah.
It's got such a pinfire flash, like you were mentioning. You almost don't see things that fine, color flash that fine in anything else of that variety, other than like the finest quality pinfire black opal.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm putting a second one out there just so you can see that these do come in varying shapes. They won't be uniform. There really are multiple shapes to it. And one thing that, Jewelry Television is really big about this, is disclosure. You'll hear me say a lot that there are no bad treatments as long as they're being disclosed to you. So there's nothing wrong with a glass-filled ruby, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with the diffused sapphire. It just makes things more affordable and more widely available to everybody. So these are smoked. So all that means is it's almost like a charcoal smoker. So George, who just retired, He was doing this with Ethiopian opal when he lived in Thailand. He just got a little barbecue going, got some smoke going through it, and he put opal through it.
Yeah.
And as it came through, it soaked up that smoke and gave it a body color behind it. And it really makes you, you know, it really brings out the color of the opals that you might not normally see. So that's what's great about that, is they're really, you know, really affordable, and it's something that it does have a good pinfire flash to it. So, and if you look on the website, there are multiple different sizes of this, really big pieces that you can make really nice statement wire wraps out of.
As far as that treatment, there's nothing wrong with treating a gemstone.
No.
Like, gosh, I don't want to put a figure, but I'd say like 90% of gemstones that probably have some sort of treatment on there. As long as it's disclosed, it's perfectly fine. It's just enhancing that beauty that nature's made.
And when you chase some of this stuff down, like when you go to all these trade shows, the affordability factor is really where it comes in, because, you know, when you tier things and you start with an untreated sapphire, no heat treatment, no anything, the price is through the roof.
Yeah.
And then right when you get low heat, moderate heat, diffusion, glass filled, you know, the price drops significantly. And I would kind of look at it as, I have a glass filled ruby. It's my starter ruby. Once I get some more money, I'm going to get a different kind of ruby. And then I'm probably going to be like, I don't need any more rubies. It's like fluoride. I always need one more. There's no stopping it, especially with fluoride. So going from Honduras, or to Honduras, is that even right? What is it? Honduras?
Honduras? Yes, Honduras.
Yeah, Honduras. I like to say Honduras.
Honduras.
Yeah, I'm going back to Honduras. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. So we're going back to, are those sedimentary opals? You know, I don't know on that. The way they're formed, the way it's like flat and spread.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We'll have to do some research on that. We'll comment back on something. And maybe that might be something to do. Where's Chris? Chris, let's do a video on it. That might be a good one to do about the Honduran opal and what's so interesting about it. Yeah, because, you know, even like Peruvian opals, they look so different. You have the blue and the pink.
So different.
And those don't even get exported anymore. So, well, no, they get exported. You can't buy them if you're there.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Gotcha.
So next we're going to go to Mexico. So we're still kind of like in the Americas at this point. And now we have a Mexican fire opal. And this is one that we were talking about, that you have that darker body color, but you don't have the play of color that you would see in, you know, Ethiopian, Australian, or Honduran.
Still a beautiful body color.
It's just a little bit different. And like, you can't even compare this to citrine, because citrine has a little bit more brown to it.
Yeah.
So it's not really comparable. But as you look at it, and when you really look, like going through GIA testing and identifying stones, it has its own distinct look to it, in my opinion, because the fire really is on the inside. When you see the return of light on those crown facets, you're really seeing where it pops out. It's almost like a sunset over on the side. So that is just a very nice, pleasing to the eye color. It's a warm summer color, really, really good. Chocolate opal. We do not have any chocolate opal. I would have to look through. There was, I kind of tried picking a bunch of different colors and varieties of what we had in stock right now, but there's always stuff. The good news is we have inventory in just over a week, and boy, we find a lot of stuff we didn't know that we had, because it always disappears, it always goes somewhere, and this is where we turn out everyone's drawers, turn out their socks,
check
and
under
we find everything.
under the desk.
Yes, we're going to find stuff we didn't know we had. In the after inventory sales,
we'll
be really, really
and
nice.
shake them upside down.
Yeah, that's the good thing, is you will find stuff by my desk, I promise. So, yeah, it does kind of give you a reminiscent of Imperial Topaz, because that rich red color. Imperial
Extremely
Topaz,
clean, though. Like, even though Topaz can't, it's usually extremely clean. This will pretty much always be.
Yeah, and with Topaz, you're going to see more hints of yellow and little bits of pink in it. So this is strict red, or strict orange. You would call it yellowish orange, in my opinion. But you can get the cherry fire opal, the really deep, richly saturated red. But those are generally a little bit of a higher price point. And for this one, a 9x7, you know, oval at 1 carat for $45. That's very inexpensive.
You can't beat that.
No, and that kind of goes back to, we always talk in a lot of our meetings about, what do we want to sell these for? Do we want to give a little bit of discount? And then it always comes back to, I can't replace it at what I'm selling it for.
Exactly.
So that's what's really hard. Post-COVID with logistics, a lot of cutters have been lost, especially Brazilian fire opal. Brazil took a major hit, both in dealers and cutters. Just logistics are still in flux big time. So we're really lucky that we have the largest inventory we've ever had in our company's history. So we've got a lot of stuff to fall back on.
You know, I got one of these gems on my desk, and it's kind of the first thing your eye goes to.
Yeah.
Like, it's mixed in with the purples, the pinks, but
Yeah.
that orange, it's like the only orange stone I have on my desk right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about this color of orange, you can't compare it to spessartine garnet.
Nope.
It's not the same at all. We already said citrine we can't compare it to. Orange sapphire is extremely different. So this is really a unique color that comes to you in an opal.
Exactly.
Because opals are really unique in themselves. So this is just something that's really nice.
And you're not going to get many of those other stones for this price point.
No, not at all. For a 9x7.
Not anywhere close.
Yeah, and that's really the thing too. Something to remember is stones are always sold on a cost per carat basis. So a garnet is going to be much more dense than an opal. An opal is such a light stone that you're getting a big spread for a low price.
Exactly.
Now, if you were to get a 9x7 spessartine, you're probably looking in the 3 carat range, and then you're really getting up there in price really fast, especially if it's clean-ish, because garnets aren't necessarily clean, but that bright return of color. So really, really nice stuff. Now the next one is the rare one that we were talking about before.
Oh boy.
It's got an interesting phenomena with it, and this is from Tanzania, I believe. Shane can let me know on that one. So this is a really rare occurrence of cat's eye fire opal.
That's awesome.
Now, the find that this came from was written up in an industry-related magazine when it first came out due to its rarity. And was it you or was it Rob who said this kind of looked like chrysoberyl?
Probably Rob.
Oh, it was Shane, actually. 1,000 apologies,
Rob's
Shane.
looking at me like,
Yeah.
wasn't me.
The guy that makes us look good, and I made him look bad. I apologize. But this really does have a crisp cat's eye on it, which is something that, I mean, that's what you want in this, because you don't want a sloppy cat's eye. You don't want it to be fuzzed out. But this one, as you can see in the beauty shot that's going, and when it's in the tweezers, it really does have a nice crisp cat's eye on it.
Yeah, cat's eye has to be one of my favorite effects. It's in there with asterism. It's pretty much the exact same thing. We've got plentiful, very small, parallel crystal inclusions that are going in one direction. And as light hits it, it's internally reflecting through the stone.
Yeah.
So that's why we're seeing that line of light. It's the same thing as asterism, but asterism goes in multiple directions. That's why you see a star and star sapphire.
And that's why it takes a really good cutter. Like a cabochon is a simple cut.
Yes.
It really is. But, you know, they're all cut in cabochons to enhance that effect. It really brings it out. It magnifies everything. And it really does have a chrysoberyl look to it, because normally with a really nice cat's eye chrysoberyl, you look for that milk and honey effect.
Yeah.
Well, this is all the honey with no milk. So, and honey's sweeter. There you go. Sold it. To myself, that's all you need is just the honey. But it does have a rarity factor to it. So Madagascar and Tanzania are the only 2 locales this comes from that you get fine quality enough to cab up and make, you know, a gemstone that's saleable and attractive out of it. There is Brazilian material, but you just don't see it often. So we just mentioned 3 locales of this one phenomenal variety of opal. So that's rare. I mean, we've already shown 3 different locations of opal that come out in different ways that only have the play of color effect, except for the Mexican fire opal. That
Yeah, a little bit.
you will find small bits of play of color in fire opal, Mexican fire opal, but it's just not attractive. It looks weak. You'll really just see like a blue or green flash that goes
Almost
across
takes
it.
a squint. It's like, is that opal?
Yeah,
You have to do a little more testing.
Yeah, and you have to get in the right light, and it's kind of hard to chase down. That's right. This does have a very nice, strong color on it, and it's saturated completely through. And if you go to our website, if you follow that link, you can find other cat's eye opal. We have a huge selection of this right
Yeah,
now.
we do.
And we even have like match suites that you could make a really nice necklace out of, a bracelet out of. The options are endless,
Yeah, I was gonna
especially when you
say-
buy loose gemstones.
I was going to say that would make an amazing pendant. It would just like,
Yep.
it would catch your eye immediately, anyone looking in your direction.
Yeah, anything that has an optical phenomenon with it outside of like color change, that's the only one that doesn't really matter. But if it's asterism, chatoyancy, play of color, something like that, you want it to move.
Yeah.
You want to get a pendant or you want to get a ring if your hands move
And
a lot.
it's fairly sharp. Sometimes you get a diffused cat's eye. It depends on how those inclusions are arranged, but this is fairly sharp. So
Yeah.
it's a good one.
And to think, for it to be natural,
Exactly.
this one doesn't have a treatment with it.
Yeah.
Opals are fairly rarely treated unless it's dyed or smoked, like we had talked about before, and those jump out at you. Like
Yeah.
you know immediately. If someone tells you it's untreated, you're like, come on, don't lie to me.
Wait a second.
Yeah, and you know when something has been treated in this case, but pretty rare that that happens. So natural color, they're not diffusing it to bring it to the surface like they do with some sapphires. It's just good chatoyant stone, and it's a cat's eye winking back at you. Who doesn't like it? So the next one I'm going to show, we have a couple of different examples of it, and I do always say that like, if the description or the picture only shows one piece and I show more than one, I'm just trying to show you that it varies.
Yeah.
And I want you to be able to at least see, if you were to purchase one of these, what kind of options you're going to get on it. So you can kind of see the play of color already in all of these as I set them out. And they kind of just look like rocks. But what you're looking at is Australian opal plant fossils. So these are from Lightning Ridge. And the way opal forms with it being underground and a lot of the silica dropping out, if there's something underground already, like, a plant fossil that may have, gotten covered up, the silica is just going to drop in and replace that material.
And it's called that. It's called opal replacement. It's a scientific term. They use it in geology. I don't know all of the details about it, to be honest. Oh, pseudomorphism.
See, this is what we're talking
From
about. This is
Shane.
why we got Shane back
Saving
there.
us.
Yeah, Shane's
But,
always saving us.
Pretty much, yeah, that silica comes in and it just replaces that plant material, that fossil material, and becomes opal. I've always dreamed about being buried in a lot of silica one day, at the end.
Well, we all have our wishes.
Yeah, all the wishes.
We all have goals in life. I'm learning a lot about Preston here. Like,
I want to have the best skeleton.
yeah, I was about to say, .com is real. I'm learning a lot from .com today. So this is really nice. I like this piece a lot. It's kind of hard to see, especially just because black base behind me. But this one is translucent. Like a lot of light comes through here. So this color is like floating on the surface, but it's also a little bit internalized. And you can see, so this is something big to discuss real quick with Australian opal. One of the things that's really interesting with it is this is potch. This is natural to come into this. Mm-hmm. And what it is it's just like the little sandstone material. They don't polish it off because they want to keep the weight. And also that potch is good for bringing the color out, in the stone.
Yeah.
So you can see it on all these as they spin around that it has quite a bit of potch on it. I knocked a little potch off on that one.
Slippery.
Yeah, but it's not uncommon. So if you're to get any of these and you see that little sandstone, it's not damaged, nothing's happened to it. All it is just a little bit of sandstone that they left on. When you see ones that don't have any at all, it's usually a much higher price point, and that body color is already there to just give it that color play that you need, because it really makes it stand out, very distinct.
Yeah, now it's possible, like on the other side of that one, it's possible that just like, not even, maybe like half a millimeter, if you sand it off, it might have that, but
yeah.
Don't try to return it after that.
Yeah,
you do that.
If you alter it, kind of own it at that point. There's not much you can do at that point.
But that sounds like something I do. I get parcels of Ethiopian opal with potch on it.
Yeah.
And I take a Dremel with some sandpaper around it, and I find the opal and all the whole piece. It's kind of fun.
I actually have a lot of older stock, really small crystal red beryl. And I've
Oh.
actually taken a Dremel to like get some of the matrix away from it, see if I can expose more of a crystal. I haven't had much luck, but it doesn't mean I'm not trying. Yeah, hopefully I'll get one someday. Okay, so this next one that we have is another Lightning Ridge opal, and this is a millimeter varies. So you got to say millimeter varies because they're cutting these to get the color out there to try and maximize. So you might have a little bit of an off shape. It might be bigger on one end than the other. And we highlighted this one when we did our TikTok.
Yes. Yeah, we had this one on the live.
Yeah, and this was something that I think we were both a little bit astonished when we were looking at it, that it's almost a double cab because it flashes on both sides. Now it does have a flat base like a traditional cabochon, but you really could put this in a bezel set, open on both sides, and have a bail that kind of spins. So as you're wearing it and it turns and light catches it, it's flashing on both sides. It's really nice that we're able to do that. And this has a really good rolling flash to it. You get the green and the blue.
It's got a whole layer in there, just a flat layer. I see almost all green at that angle.
And it'll change just a little bit like how you see it, just at the angle that you're viewing it at. Ooh, I caught that one. It was ready to flip. Because this one almost has or not a moonstone, but a labradorite look to it.
Yeah.
With that blue flash that rolls across. Because as I look at it top down, unfortunately we don't have the overhead camera, but you would see that when it's just face down on it, all you're seeing is just blue over the top. You don't really see that green. It really shows up once you tilt it and then the light reflects. And that's what's so great about opal is as those silica spheres are arranged, that's what all the light is reflecting off of. And you're really getting really, really nice, strong plays of color.
And as that color comes to you, if you see green from where you are, I might see red from where I am, because those silica spheres, they kind of mess up the white light that goes inside of the stone and it shoots it all in different directions. So you'll see different colors. That's why we see different colors from different angles.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about another thing with inclusions, scattering of light, like rutile inclusions, tourmaline inclusions inside quartz. It just scatters the light in a different way, and it turns into just how your eye perceives all of it. So it's really nice. Like, nothing wrong with inclusions, nothing wrong with play of color. George is calling me. He's retired, man. Come on, George, we're doing stuff here.
Sleep.
He doesn't watch this stuff, so we're good to go. So we have one last thing to show you. And this is kind of the showstopper. If you paid attention to any of these shows, you notice we kind of go through all of these and then we end with just a little bit of eye candy, because everyone should see something fantastic, top of the line specimen.
Prized.
And I didn't bring out the top that we have in inventory just because
I'm scared to touch that one.
They
I'll
would,
be honest.
yeah, everybody would be a little bit scared to touch it. But thankfully, we have access to all these things. So why would we not show you high quality black opal?
Gorgeous.
High quality black opal.
Large too.
Yes, this is very big. This is a 6.01 carat, and this is a freeform cabochon. Again, they're chasing color in these, so that's why it's freeform. They're not going to try and calibrate it because they're going to lose that color. And every time this thing moves, you can see it changes. You have those little, almost craze-like lines. I don't want to say that, but it's just from where it's split in its growth, and you'll just see that slight difference in the stone.
Yeah, black opal is king.
Yeah. And just to see that color play that comes off of it, it really is, you see a stone like this, and you can really see why, you know, this is a stone that commands a really high price.
It's very rare as well, especially in these sizes. You said this was Lightning Ridge?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard miners from Lightning Ridge say that they've dug for 5 years without finding anything, looking for this. When they hit it, I bet they're happy.
Yeah, and we're really lucky that we, this opal comes from a family that is multi-generational. It's a husband and wife team.
Awesome.
So both of their dads were miners. They got into the business, and they both said this is the last thing they'd ever want for their kids.
There you go.
But, you know, it really is something, it's a labor of love. And they really are, so when it comes to black opal pricing and Lightning Ridge, this is where the council is that helps determine black opal pricing and stabilizing the market. So it's a group of people, and you can bring all your stuff in there on a Saturday, and they will look at it and they will come to an agreement on what you should be charging for your opal. So it really is a community thing. They don't want anybody gouging prices, and it comes to a determination. So a lot of times you can trust the price on it. So really what you're looking for, number one, is the colors.
Yeah.
And then you want to get the brilliance of color after that. So there are combinations of things that go into what makes a black opal valuable. Because your body color is one thing, the color's coming back. And I'll even show you on this one too, because it was what we talked about before. It's just a little bit of potch on the back right here. So no damage to it, nothing wrong with it. But they're just keeping that there because they don't want to polish it away, because as they polish any of this stuff away, you're going to lose that base that really makes those colors come out.
You got to have a lot of skill when you're grabbing a piece of rough like this used to be, and be able to pull all this color out without accidentally just turning it into dust with your sander.
Yeah, I mean, something like this wouldn't be one that you'd learn on. You would only give this to an experienced person. And the way it just flows and keeps changing, I mean.
That's awesome.
Yep, it's why opal is what opal is. So that's really all we're going to have. That was the last one that we got to show you. We want to show you the nicest stuff that we can. Like I said, next Monday at noon, we're going to be doing a Demantoid Garnet rough show. So we'll have a lot of pieces. We'll move through them really quick, but what you see is what you get on that, and I'll make sure to give item numbers on that one. I don't usually do it, item number and price. But they're all really competitively priced, so don't think you're going to break the bank like on this opal. So thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate it.